Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I am Lee Powers. I am the COO of KS Management. Me and Lisa are going to be the ones kind of leading this training tonight. Lisa is from CAI Michigan chapter. And then Natalie is our marketing manager in the back corner here. She will be doing her marketing stuff all throughout tonight. And we have a few different cams from our team that are on virtually and in person here. So we have Chris, Jess, I think I saw Mike online. There's a few others. So anyone that's online, if you have any questions, throw it in the chat. We have people answering those, or feel free to unmute yourself and chime in. And anything else, Nat?
No, I just want to say thank you for being here, everyone online. We just attended the CAI Expo, which was a huge success, and that was led by Lisa here, the executive director of CAI. Just in this room here, how many of you are familiar with CAI in general? Okay, a few. That's good. All right, so this is a real treat for you, and it'll be your standard. Lisa helps with educating our team, and Lee does as well. They work together as a team through CAI. And so it's a really nice touch point for you. But they actually have a manager, they have a training for board members there. So Lisa's going to talk a little bit about that. Here is where you get the overview, and then she'll take you into a little bit of a deep dive through this presentation. And then they're supporting online resources for you as well if you want to take a course or just have things that you could look up. So basically, we brought the experts to you.
And I'm super excited this time to see new faces, both online and in person. So for those of you that don't know, we do these the second Wednesday.
Yes.
Second Wednesday. I don't know what today is. Second Wednesday of every month. We do a different topic each month based on feedback we get from you guys. So we have an insurance one coming up next. We'll have some information about that at the end of it. But we try and make topics that are super relevant to you guys as board members to help you out. So without further ado, I will let Lisa give it a go. So today, sorry, I lied. So today it's all about how to be a board member, what the different roles are. It's good for if you're maybe a first-time board member or in a new position, or some of you online are not currently board members, but you're interested in becoming them. So this is a good training to just kind of get like the 101s, know what each position is, what each position is responsible for, and how the board works with the management company.
Yeah, and this is, as Natalie said, this is kind of a condensed version of a seminar that we do at our annual conference every year at the Suburban Collection Showplace in Novi. It's about a 3.5 hour course, which does seem a little intensive, but for anybody that has attended, you get a wealth of knowledge on how to be a very effective board member during that time frame. And I strongly encourage anybody that hasn't been there to attend. Yes.
When do you have that? Like what month?
We typically have it in March.
Oh.
And it is actually scheduled for March, I believe. Let me check my calendar. But it is already scheduled for 2026. And if my calendar will catch up with me.
And if you haven't been to that event before, it's fantastic. It is. There's thousands of vendors. This year there was like 800 people that attended it.
It was over 700.
700.
Yeah. Yep.
A ton of different vendors that you can get information from, a ton of educational classes, and it's typically free for board members to attend. So super beneficial.
Yep. And next year it'll actually take place on March 13th. And it will be again at the Suburban Collection Showplace.
And we will be there, right? KS comes out.
I hope so.
You hope so, especially.
Well, this year it was the first year that we absolutely sold out of every space we possibly could put anybody. So I do highly encourage, if you are interested in attending, as soon as we launch the event, please register, because it will sell it again next year. All right. So with today's seminar, we're going to do an overview of the board roles and management company enhancements, bridging the technological divide, advantages of leveraging technology in community management, navigating challenges, solutions for common board member and resident concerns, best practices for all board members, challenges and solutions, effective communication strategies, advantages of leveraging technology in community management.
So this one is a little bit about us for any of you that are newer board members or newer to KS. So we are one of only 3 management companies in the state of Michigan that holds the AAMC credential. It's the highest credential a management company can get in this industry. So that leads us to all of the education we do, not only internally, but externally, like these classes. All of our managers have to maintain a certain level of expertise and credentials and a number of classes and continuing ed that they have to do every year. So it ensures that we're always on the latest and greatest leading edge of all education, all technology, and we want to bring that to you guys with these types of classes as well.
All right, so again, I'm Lisa Holbrook. And again, the Michigan chapter of CAI, we are part of a nationwide organization, actually worldwide organization. We just hit over 50,000 members across the world. We have chapters in some states, multiple chapters across the country. There are chapters in Canada, Mexico, as far as Dubai. I'm actually waiting for our national conference to go there. I would love to go see it. But
I want to go to that one too.
Huh?
Take me with you.
But as for the Michigan chapter itself, we currently have over 625 members here within the state of Michigan. We are a education-based organization. That is the core of what we are. Education for board members like yourselves, community managers, management companies, as well as business partners who are the vendors and contractors that work within your communities. And our, excuse me, my apologies, my throat is really dry. But we are a education nonprofit that, fosters vibrant, responsive, competent community associations to promote harmony, community, and responsible leadership. So we take all of these different people that work in this industry together, working together to develop the best community associations we possibly can. Yes,
Do you want to do questions like at the end of your presentation, or do you want interruptions, or what's your?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
If it's on topic, shout it out. If it's something random.
Say you have 600 and some members.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that like who what does that all encompass? Like vendors and association?
It's the exact groups of people that we were just talking about. Board members like yourselves, that actually makes the biggest sect of our membership, followed by the managers, management companies, and then our business partners, who are the vendors and contractors that are working within the communities.
Sure. I know that was, I'm not sure that I think at one time we were members, but I don't think we are now.
Okay.
So
We can get you signed up.
We can
Kathy.
absolutely look into that. Yeah.
So first we'll dive into the president. So show of hands real quick. Who's the president in here? Okay, cool. I was not expecting that, so go ahead.
I was gonna say the last time we did this, I think that was the fewest hands raised.
Congratulations to all of you.
All right, so as far as the role of the president goes, you are the leader. You provide strategic direction and leadership for the rest of your board members. You preside over the board meetings, ensuring they are productive and following the agenda. You're the representation. You are the spokesperson for the association. Collaboration. We work closely with other board members to achieve the association's goals. And your responsibilities are delegating tasks, ensuring accountability, and overseeing board operations. You are also, especially since you are with a management company, you're going to be usually the main point of contact for that management company, especially in an emergency.
Only at 2 a.m. when something is going around.
Fire, flood, or flood.
Yeah.
So effective tips for being a board president. You want to be a visionary and a proactive leader. And the main point of this is proactive. You never want to, obviously there are going to be times where you need to be reactive, but the goal is to be a proactive leader. You want to maintain open communication with all the other board members and foster a collaborative and inclusive environment.
Easy.
No, and you're absolutely correct. But that is part, I mean, with being in that position, it's definitely one of your goals, but it's definitely one of the hardest things to achieve.
So,
Go ahead.
so next up, we can go back and forth. I mean, I've talked the whole time.
No
So
worries.
next up is the VP. So essentially, like, so in a condo association, you are running a business. It's like you're running a small city. The officers of the board function the same essentially as the federal government does, or the state government. The president is in place to kind of lead the ship, keep everything on the straight and narrow, and then the VP steps in if the president can't chair a meeting, they're not available, they're unreachable. You, God forbid, you take a vacation and you can't make a decision for the community. So that's essentially the role of the VP. So you're assisting the president, helping them with all of their initiatives, making sure that everything kind of flows smoothly. A lot of times the VP kind of takes the role of special projects. If the president has some ideas or the board has ideas for different things to improve or modify the community, a lot of times the VP will step in and kind of lead those projects because the president has enough to worry about.
In essence, the right hand.
Correct. And ideally, the VP is the succession plan for the president. So as the president steps away, maybe wants to actually retire, wants to kind of step away from the board, ideally you're grooming that VP to step into that president role to take over that position. And same with any other board member, you're representing the association in a positive light all the time, being an officer of that association. This one.
Oh, now I can have it. Okay. All right. So effective tips for being a vice president. You obviously want to stay informed and ready to take over at any time. Obviously, again, you are the second in command. So God forbid something happens to the president, you are right there to step in. You want to develop strong relationships with the other board members. There's, again, always that possibility you are moving into that presidential role at some point in time. Take initiative on special projects and demonstrate leadership capabilities, just as Lee was explaining.
So role of secretary. Who's secretary in here? Well, okay, interesting. I personally feel like secretary is the hardest position on the board, and that's generally why there are not very many. A lot of times treasurers and secretaries wear the same, or the same person wears both hats. But secretary is not a coveted role. It is one of the most challenging on the board because you are, as the secretary, you're responsible for every single record and communication of that association. Yes, you have a management company that helps facilitate all of that, but ultimately it's the secretary's responsibility to make sure that there's meeting minutes, notices are posted appropriately, communication is sent out effectively. You are creating the agendas for the association, you're transcribing meeting minutes. The secretary is the point person if, say, there's a petition in the community for something or some sort of notice that the co-owners are serving, the secretary is the one that runs through. So the secretary has to wear a lot of roles or a lot of hats within the association. They're ensuring compliance for everyone that's on the board, that you're documenting everything appropriately. You have all the records that you are supposed to maintain. And ultimately, they're charged with keeping control of all those records. Did I miss anything on that?
I mean, the two main points, honestly, are communication and documentation. So effective tips for being the secretary. Obviously, you want to be detail oriented. You don't want an organized or unorganized individual being in charge of all of this information. Record keeping being such a big deal. Stay organized. Again, being detailed oriented, keep everything straight, easier it'll be for you. Ensure timely distribution of documents to the other board members. Maintain confidentiality and integrity of the records themselves. So obviously you will be in charge of confidential information. You know, everybody needs to take that job as secretary very, very seriously, because you don't need any of that to get out to ears that don't need to have it. So.
And as a secretary, your management company supports you a lot and
Mhm.
helps with a lot of those things, like getting notices out, getting minutes transcribed, that type of stuff. But any position on the board, ultimately those officers are the responsible parties for those things. So yes, we assist, we help, we give guidance, but the board members ultimately are the ones responsible for it. Next up is treasurer. Who's treasurer in here? Anyone? You're all just presidents? Nice.
VPs.
And VPs,
They get the roll call on the VPs.
right? So treasurer is, I mean, just as it sounds, it's slightly different with a management company versus if you were self-managed. If you were self-managed, typically the treasurer is literally the one collecting all the payment from co-owners. They're compiling monthly financial statements. They're helping the CPA file the taxes. It's a very in-depth role if you do not have a management company. But with us, we help ease that burden a ton. We're collecting all the payments. We're producing all the financials. We're posting it all to the portal. And your job as the treasurer is just to review it, make sure everything looks in line, make sure it's following the budget that you as a board set, and really just reporting to the board on the financial condition of the association. So it's less of the day-to-day actual operations of it and more of just an oversight role.
And regardless, with anybody that holds a treasurer role, it's a good idea to have somebody in that position that does have a strong financial mind.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of retired CPAs are
Yes.
in that position, right?
I've seen the opposite though too, where it's like, oh, okay, I'm treasurer. Can't read a balance sheet.
So I think it's really important too, what Lee has mentioned is that your management company is here to support each of you in these roles. And it's essential for you to have that support because it is complicated, and why go through this and learn all on your own from scratch. When we have cumulative, we have a lot of years of experience together, so we can help guide you in those ways and support you, but not do it fully. You still have your roles, your fiduciary responsibilities, but that's what we are here to do. CAI is here to do, and then you're there to do as a board collectively too.
You already covered some of this.
Yeah.
So tips for the treasurer it helps to have a strong financial background, even if it's not being a CPA. Maybe it's a job that you held where you dealt with financials a lot, or you dealt with budgets, or purchase orders for something. I've seen a lot of treasurers that are like supply chain manager type people. They work good in that role.
They're just really comfortable with numbers.
Correct.
Typically.
Just anyone that does numbers.
Yep.
Keep it simple. So you're basically, like I said, you're just monitoring everything, advising the board. The treasurer's kind of the go-to. Yes, we as a management company will give advice and recommendations on maybe projects or what you should budget, what you shouldn't budget. But the treasurer should take a strong role in that, in advising the board of, hey, no, we can't afford this, or yes, we can. Maybe we should budget for this next year. And just kind of having that, like Lisa said earlier, a proactive approach to budgeting for the association.
All right. So there are additional board member roles. We typically will see members at large. These are, you have obviously your four main, but you do have your members at large. They also are very important board member roles, regardless of not being in those four specific categories. Members at large will provide input and support for various initiatives and represent interests of the general membership. You will see a lot of the members at large also hold positions in committees, going out there looking to, basically your constituents, the people in the community, getting feedback, bringing that back to the board. Your committee chairs, again, and just in advisory roles. You'll see a lot of, past presidents or people that have been board members for a very long time, but they're looking for that step back, looking for that break, but still want to have some involvement and still have a lot of knowledge to give. So they'll set themselves into an advisory position. Now, especially with the advisors, they don't have a necessary vote as an official board member, but again, it's an advisory position. They're there to help guide, to help make strong decisions.
Well, and those members at large are crucial, like you said, for they're kind of more the boots on the ground type people, the ones in the community, the ones on committees, the ones interacting with more of the co-owners, to get kind of more of the pulse of the association, where the 4 officers typically have more of a administrative role, where they have set things that they have to do, where the members at large can kind of get out there and be a little more free and get feedback and, like I said, kind of get a pulse of the community a little better. Who in here has committees in their association? Okay, that's good. I hear some hands raised on that.
So the common ones are social?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you do not have any committees in your association, that's my takeaway for you today, is to think about what you as board members are spending the most of your time dealing with, and then make a committee for that. So is it dealing with new people moving into the community and not knowing the rules? Is that where you're spending a lot of your time? Maybe you need a welcome social committee to kind of greet new people that move in, give them kind of the lay of the land. Is it trying to get engagement within the community? Maybe you need a social committee to set up functions for the committee, or for the association rather. Is it your budget process is super intensive? Maybe you need a finance committee that helps put together a budget and produces documents to help you kind of plan for the future. Whatever those things are that you spend a ton of time on, think about what committee you could make with those. No, I'm joking, sorry.
I'm glad it's not just me.
You can have that one while I'm dying over here.
Okay. So effective tips for additional board member roles: engage actively in committee work. Again, as Lee was saying, boots on the ground, actively engaging with the community community members themselves, representing diverse viewpoints and bringing fresh ideas to the community, and supporting the board's collective goals and initiatives.
So we talked now about what all of you guys do. So what is our role as the manager? So Lisa, we didn't do as part of your intro, you worked in association management for
14 years before I
was
moved
gonna
over
say
to
a
the
couple
chapter.
years. Don't date yourself.
14 years. I worked probably about 2 years as a community manager. The rest of my time was spent as a branch accounting manager for a property management company.
So we have a ton of experience. Chris had like maybe 5 years experience in association management. Jess has been doing it for a while. So our role as the management company, we have a ton of experience, a ton of knowledge. Between our team, we have close to 50 employees. Between that entire team, I say this cautiously, there's nothing we haven't seen. If it's something I haven't seen, Chris has seen it. If it's something we haven't seen, we can call Lisa. She's probably seen it. So
you just put that in the air and you're going to see something borrow that.
So that's our biggest role for you guys as associations, is to be that resource, to be that knowledge bank, to help guide you through these things. Most board members typically haven't held a board member role previously. You moved into a community, went to the annual meeting, no one wanted to volunteer, and you said, I guess I'll do it. And then now you're stuck there.
You feel safe.
So that's our role within your community, is to help guide that, help train you. So we're doing things, we're helping you administer the association. We're out doing inspections, pointing out violations, sending violation letters. We're helping manage the records that I was talking about earlier that the secretary is responsible for. We're helping store all of that information for you. We're creating your budgets. We're giving you drafts of the financials on a monthly basis. We're giving you guidance for those types of things, for maintenance, for projects, anything that needs to happen in the community. And then ultimately, you guys are the decision makers. So we're gathering all of that info, giving our recommendations, our expertise, and saying yes or no. What do you want to do?
I love too that, I mean, I do business development as well with KS and go to a lot of these events. And we, as a management company, get a lot of, oh, you do that? And when you come on as board members with us, there's so much that goes into it. But I mean, from taking all of your records and scanning them in and making sure all of that is digitized, that's not something that very many management companies do. And it's those meticulous details to make your job easier. I've been here for a couple of years and I'm impressed every single time at all the different ways that KS can support associations. And it's not the norm. I'm sure you've had experiences outside of our management company at some point in time, but things are done differently. And I'm proud to say that we do that really well.
Yeah. And we're, I don't want to sidetrack too much, but we did a seminar 2 months ago, 1 month ago, I don't even remember, about our portal and how we store all the information on there, how we keep those records and how to utilize it best as a board member, the different reports you can see. So we record all of these seminars and throw them on our website. So if you didn't attend that one, I encourage you to go back and just watch that one, because it really talks about all of what Natalie was saying that goes into storing all of those records, keeping those documents, making everything easily accessible for you all as board members.
Transparency. Too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have everything at your fingertips.
And everything's live on that portal. You can log in at 2 a.m. and look at your bank account balance. If you can't sleep, then you want to do that.
Does a board member have the ability to post things on the portal?
God, no.
Like documents?
So yes, it currently no, but it is something that is coming. We're kind of beta testing it with some communities. Actually, we'll probably do it with yours. But it's really important so our kind of viewpoint on that is that we want to make sure that everything that the community can see has been scrubbed to make sure there's no sensitive information. There's nothing that shouldn't be shared. So we kind of want to be that set of eyes before it goes out to the community, not to restrict the communication, but to make sure it's appropriate and there's not something that shouldn't be shared.
Well, most things would be documents that would be board approved.
Yeah.
So if they're board approved, they should be.
They should.
You still.
Yeah. Yeah.
A good example is how many of you here are fair housing trained? Probably not very many. And so there's a possibility you could want to share information that without realizing would potentially be in breach of some kind of statute or law or confidentiality aspect. So it's not that we're trying to censor you as much as provide that extra layer of support to say, hey, we might want to reword this a little bit, right, so that it's more in line and not breaching any possible issues that could come up from it.
And really, it's just to protect the association and the board members. Like I said, we have a lot of experience. We've seen a lot of things. So we might see something and be like, hey, I know this resulted in a lawsuit at this other association. Let's not do that. So something simple like that.
Who's posting those things? Or is that our property manager?
Yeah, it's usually the manager. So some additional things that we as the management company do. Communication and conflict resolution. So you guys know, we're the primary point of contact for all of your residents, all of your constituents, as Lisa said. So they have the ability to call, text, email, submit tickets online, fax, carrier pigeon, however they want to communicate with us best. We're kind of that first line of defense to qualify it, so that as you're out walking in the community, you're not getting ambushed by people asking questions. And if they are, just hand them our business card and say, call KS. And then to Chris's point, the next thing is legal compliance. So we're not attorneys. We don't play them on TV, but we've seen a lot of things within the legal realm that we can give advice on. and recommendations.
All right. Effective tips for the managers. And honestly, it's for, their support staff as well. We always want to make sure we're providing clear communication, staying organized, knowing the governing documents, and that's just as important as board members as it is for the managers that are managing your communities. And this is a really important one because you want good contractors doing work in your communities. So them building strong relationships with those vendors is going to be pivotal for that to happen.
And we have, I think, just over 2,500 total vendors that we work with on a routine basis. And they're ones that we kind of scrub and do all the legwork on. For a condo association, you really don't want to go to Google and say, hey, find me a roofer. Trust us for the ones that we've vetted and the ones that we know have worked with condo associations. It's not, you don't want to hire a guy down the street with a lawnmower to cut your 40 acres of lawn. Lean on us to find those appropriate vendors for you. And then we have that relationship with them already as well, where we know they do good work, they have good equipment, they're reliable, they're going to take good care of your property, the insurance, the licenses, everything that's required based on what type of vendor they are.
And something that we also do with CAI, and it's a newer initiative, but it's really gaining strength, is we have an educated business partner program. So it's a special designation that our business partners can receive that focuses specifically on doing work within community associations. So it focuses on the planning, the communication with the homeowners, making sure all the bases are covered. So there aren't, we can, conflicts or miscommunications and things like that can be easily avoided because they see what it takes to work in such a community.
And so I'm huge into technology, for those of you that know me directly. That's one of my big roles within this organization, is to drive technology, always look at what's new and great and what's happening in the world and how we can adopt it to help better serve your communities. So these are some of the things I just kind of want to touch on real quick. If you haven't heard of any of these, please don't tell me because I will run away screaming. But the first thing is the online portal, Vanica. Like I said, we did a training a month or two ago. Was it last month? Okay. So it's on our website already. Watch it. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours long. But there's a lot of great tips on there on stuff that you may not necessarily know as a board member, even if you're using the portal currently. We went over some kind of like tips and tricks that you may not know that may make it easier for you to do, look at certain documents or look at certain reports on there. The next thing is Stand. So this is a super cool feature that co-owners can text in, or you as board members can even text in, and it goes directly to your manager, to our maintenance team, whatever the AI identifies the issue of the text to be. And it just helps kind of streamline that communication and make it more efficient. We know that within every community, there's a large demographic of different backgrounds. Some people prefer to call, some people prefer to text, some people want to send a letter or a fax, but we try and cover all the bases of what the preferred communication channel is for everyone. So if someone's walking through and they see a piece of siding hanging off a building, they can literally just snap a picture and text it to us, and it instantly goes to the manager to create a work order. So it streamlines, makes everything more efficient. These seminars, excuse me, sorry. These seminars that we do, like I said, monthly, they're something that, as Natalie mentioned, is very unique in our industry. I don't know anyone that really does this, or at least not consistently. We want to try and educate all of you guys and help you guys with all the resources that you need. We do a expo once a year, where a smaller scale of what Lisa was talking about with the CAI Expo, where we bring in 30 to 40 different vendors, let them talk to all the board members, and you can get information from them about the services they provide. We do educational classes. We typically have prizes and food, and last year we had mimosas, so that sells it right there.
And you can come talk to me again if you'd like.
Yeah.
And we had a expert panel too, so
Yeah.
vendors, board members, and it's everyone in our association. So it's really created as a thank you for your volunteerism and to also get your residents, the community members involved more with being a part of the association. And it's worked really well. We get a really great turnout, and it's not all board members, which is great too. We want to see it, people that are just a part of the community that want to have a bigger role. They see you there, they have a conversation, and maybe that turns into something like them starting a committee or joining the board.
Yeah. The last thing on this one is our magazines and our website. So I talked a couple times about the videos posted on our website. If you haven't looked, don't tell Natalie. She'll run away screaming. But our website is super streamlined, super easy to find. We have tons of blog posts, articles, recorded videos, all of these educational seminars we record and throw on there. So they're good points of reference to go back at any point in time, or if there's other board members within your association that can't attend tonight and you think there's things that may be beneficial to them, just send them to that video library and they can watch through that. And we make these, I see Kathy, you have one there. Do you want to be Vanna for me for a second? The magazine?
Oh, magazine?
So we make those magazines twice a year. And they are filled with different articles that help you as board members, but also community members, of just how processes work in the community, what it means to live in a condo association. Sometimes people move in an association, they've never lived in one, they don't know what it means. What do you mean I have to follow bylaws? What do you mean I have to pay association dues? So we're trying to get all of these resources out there to the communities to help with those questions. So it's just additional resources when people come to you or people come to us to ask questions about how and why, and we can always refer to articles in the magazine or videos on our website, stuff like that.
Chris has written articles for our magazine. Jessica has written articles for our magazine. So it's our team too, and they're like touch points of what they find out when they're out, talking to you and talking to people in communities, and then saying, what, this comes up over and over again. I'm going to write an article about it. Let's get that out there. And it's a really great resource. And it's not all like reserve studies. We have articles in there about decor. Jessica wrote hers the last time about just like accommodating the positive aspects of, how to emphasize decor within your condo association or HOA with staying within the rules and regulations. So
Like painting your front door pink, right?
yes, just like that.
Expressing your individuality while staying within the limits of your budget.
Exactly.
It can be done.
Are those kind of articles, can they be, like we have a community newsletter?
Mhm.
Can you ever reproduce those or use them?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure.
share them as much as you want. They're all online too. They're I think it's called Flip Snack is it's embedded within the website where you can actually flip through the magazine in a digital version, and you can download certain pages and share certain pages with links or social media, whatever you want on there.
And I encourage you to write articles too. If you ever have an idea, reach out to me directly, because I'm the one that puts together the magazines, and I can actually assist with writing the article. If you are not feeling comfortable or haven't written for a publication like that before, I can help with that whole process to make it very simple
We
for you.
give you a topic or something and then you can.
Yeah, we build it out together.
Okay.
And it's nice. I'd love for more board members to be featured in our magazines. And sometimes we find that somebody's active and then we connect with them and then do an interview or something like that. I've done with Rachel at Independence. She's probably here. Hi, Rachel.
She's always on there.
Yes, she's fantastic. And we wanted to praise her for being so active in her community and with KS.
And we highly encourage that. If you have feedback about anything, any ideas, we do it internally with our team. We'll send out surveys to the folks that answer the phones and say, what are the top 5 questions you get on a daily basis? Then we make articles to help with those. So same thing from you guys. If there's topics for these seminars that you want to see or things that you want us to help get out to your community, shoot them over to us. If we don't have something, we'll create something.
Yeah, just like that. So to digress with the stand, do you have anything like a single point lesson or something that teaches you how to?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where
there's,
would I access that?
yeah, it's on, there's a whole page actually dedicated to it on our website.
Okay.
And then we always have an article in the magazine about it.
Okay.
But it's just a phone number that you text. And if your phone number that you're texting from is in our system, it automatically recognizes who you are and associates it to your address.
Okay.
If your phone number is not in our system, it'll ask you like, hey, what's your address? What's your account number? Just to confirm who it is. But it's, again, seamless integration. So it works super smooth.
Stan's also on the portal, right?
Stan's also on the portal. It's on the portal and on our website. It's a little chat bot in the right-hand side of it that works just like any chat feature on any website.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Would that be something you'd be interested in learning more about in a seminar like this and in-depth training? I just like to get some feedback on that too, because it is like, for some people, it's like, oh, just text. And it's like, well, okay, give me more information. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked that question.
We can make a video on that one easily. So you or me?
People shy away when they say, get on the portal, get on the portal, get on the portal.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you could just text it and put a picture, I think that would.
For sure. And that's where like I said earlier, everyone kind of communicates different. So getting to those that we hear all the time, that's what it led us to implement Stan originally, was we were getting feedback of, oh, I don't have a computer, I don't have email, I don't want to go on the portal. Well, you can have all the same functionality through Stan just with text. Almost everyone can text. You can legitimately text it and say, hey, send me the last newsletter for our community, send me our bylaws. What's my balance? You can submit work orders. You can ask any question. So you have that avenue. You have the portal. You have calling us. There's, no matter how you prefer to communicate, there's an option available for you. So again, this ties into a lot of the technology that we use. Natalie mentioned earlier about the transparent decision-making. Everything that is on our portal or within Stan is live real-time data that you guys as board members can use to help make decisions for the community. It's really important. We talk all the time about communication and transparency within your communities as well. Even if it's not great news, share it with your community. If you try and wait to think about how to share it, or you think about how it might best be received, that's just going to lead to people coming with pitchforks to the annual meeting. Share the information, give the why, explain how you made that decision, give the supporting backup. If you said you implemented an added assessment because X, Y, and Z, and you give them a copy of the financial report where you show you spent $100,000 on roofs and now you have to do an added assessment, give all of that data to your co-owners. Don't hold it back. Help to show why you're making the decisions you're making, and it will benefit you so much in the long run.
What's the best format to do that?
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yep. Because like I mentioned, people communicate differently. So cover all your bases to ensure that you don't have someone that says, oh, I didn't see that. Well, we texted it to you, we emailed it to you, we mailed it to you. I don't know how to help you past that.
Bring the residents along for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing more gratifying at an annual meeting where you have someone who stands up and wants to complain about something, and then other residents in the audience defend your point of view because they understand, they know that you brought them along for the ride. And they're like, I don't necessarily like the additional assessment more than anyone else, but I understand it because they told us the last 6 months, the whys, they gave us the information. So they know.
Well, being that you mentioned assessments, is that very common? I mean, there's a lot of other condos have added assessments.
We're remembering that we have a 3-year roofing assessment. And that doesn't make a difference in how much you communicate. They'll say that the board is not transparent.
It's hard.
We did 3 letters before we said this is what the assessment's gonna be.
When you say assessment, like a special assessment?
Now, there's a difference. That's the language.
Good job.
Special school for a clubhouse,
Oh,
and it takes 2/3 vote.
Yeah.
An additional assessment, the board has the right to make
right.
an additional assessment without a vote.
I like that.
Hey, do you want a job?
But that's the want, not
Yes.
a need.
Mhm.
Yes, and to answer your question, I hate to keep saying this, but I think we had a seminar about that, but there's several different options about how to fund things in an association. You can do an added assessment, you can increase dues, you can do a loan, you can do a special assessment district. There's many different options for associations increasing income or paying for something, but it really depends on the demographic of that association, what works best for them. We have some that say they want to keep association dues low. They're never increasing association dues. They just do an added assessment every year to kind of make up the difference of where they would do the increase in association dues.
And a
There's-
community would prefer that?
Some do, yeah.
So, yeah, it just depends on
It just
the
depends on the makeup
the-
of that
the group.
community.
That's the first time I ever heard the distinction, because we always use, we always tell our community, we've never had a special assessment.
You haven't?
Like, no.
You haven't had an assessment either. Yeah.
I've never heard that distinction between the two, so that's interesting.
And you have a community like yours, they've never done any type of assessment. They've always had kind of a higher level of dues, and just fund that way. And they bank away money and they project for the future and only do things in years that they save for. But their type of community has never done an additional special assessment.
Right, and we're on a lake, so it's very expensive, because we have a seawall on the shoreline, so they're, pretty lucky that you are, yeah, they have an.
Actually,
Knock on wood, Kathy.
yeah. And I was going to say, actually, in our upcoming, for the chapter, we have a virtual expo coming up in May that will be covering exactly that topic.
Yeah.
On all the different ways to fund your
that's
capital projects.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's in May, you said?
Yes,
Yeah.
May 16th.
And if you join CAI as a board member, you get all these emails about these types.
Yes.
So, because there's always virtual seminars, there's always communication sent out from the chapter. And you can, I'm not going to quote prices, I'll let you do that, but you can, like, there's a group where you can say like the whole board, and it's up to X number of members join as a board, and you can update as board
15.
members change. That's
15 for
Heck of a lot of board
$280. Yeah,
And that's for how long?
that's for a full year.
Yeah, that's for a full year, okay.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So it's you get a ton of resources with it. You get a lot of extra data. There's board member toolkits. There's different things that you can kind of pull on from other associations, not even just in the state of Michigan, but you have access to some of the national policies as well.
Board member forums too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a ton of different forums that you can be a part of as well, both locally and nationally.
Well, and it's cool to see, like, a few of these seminars kind of get derailed, and I actually enjoy it because we have board members from different communities that don't know each other, and you just start sharing ideas and talking about, like, ooh, we've done this, or did this work, or you learn something new about an assessment. So it's those type of forums and that type of resource is invaluable to you as a board member. This one's you.
Me.
Has your face on it.
Yeah.
You have a little more hair than me, so that one's not me.
I have a lot more hair than you, and thankfully none of it here. All right, so just to kind of recap what we've talked about, some best practices for all of our board members and managers. Understand your responsibilities, become familiar with the association documents. That is probably a number one. Learn the community rules and regulations and how to effectively enforce them. One thing I would like to segue into this is also pick your battles. There are some communities out there that like to There are some communities that like to run things very almost militant, and there are ones that let it all go. As a board with your management company, find out what is important to you and pick your battles.
And you're talking bylaws here, right? And still pick your battles?
Well, sounds like you have a situation, so.
No,
Okay. Okay.
Like, I thought we were.
You're going to cause yourself way more headache going after every itty bitty little thing that everybody gets in a tizzy over. Find the things that really mean something, that really is a problem, and those are the things you really want to go after. Like if you have somebody that is absolutely non-compliant about something and will not change it, by all means. But just for your own personal well-being, that would be a suggestion of mine to make.
Well, and there's some that it's very like, I'll pick trash cans as an example.
Correct. Thank you.
Almost every single bylaw says trash cans must be stored that is in a place reasonably inconspicuous from the street.
Mhm.
Some boards take that to mean I can't ever see your trash can. If I see your trash can, you get a violation. That's a case where Lisa's
Yes.
talking about that's going to cause you
It's
way more heartburn.
interpretation.
Correct.
Correct.
I get it.
Correct.
I get it.
So maybe be a little looser with that, they can be on the side of your home, but we don't want it in the front of your driveway. So that's where Lisa's saying, like, pick how strict you want to be
Yeah.
with some of the stuff that is up for interpretation.
Like in a
Um,
community I used to live in, I used to have an individual that technically per our bylaws, trash cans were supposed to be back in your home by 6 o'clock at night. There was an individual that would peruse the entire neighborhood by 6:05.
That's not how it's
So-
done.
That's what I'm saying, like, even as a community member, like, just,
Yeah.
you know, there are obviously things to get up in a little tizzy about, but there are things that, you know, we can be a little lax about. Okay, active participation. Attend all your board meetings, participate actively in all discussions. And then collaboration, obviously. You all want to work together. You know, as we all know, you're not always going to get along with the people that you're with on your board, but you're there for the good of the community. You want to avoid personal agendas. You're there for the whole. Again, I keep saying constituents, and it might be because I was in Lansing doing a legislative action day a couple of weeks ago, but it's honestly a way that you almost have to think about it.
Yeah.
You're there for the good of the whole, not just for the good of the few.
And remember, I always say this, you're running a business.
Mhm.
Remember that. It's don't make decisions based on your personal interests, what you think is best. Look at the good of the whole. Look at what the demographic of the community is, what the community needs, and focus on that. I can't tell you how many times I've heard board members say, I'm moving, or I won't live here in 5 years. I don't care about the roofs. Well, that's not the mindset you should have as a board member. You should be looking out for the community, whether you're there or not. You're making decisions for that community in their best interest.
So,
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
so more best practices, continuous learning. Continue to take advantage of, you know, these classes that Chaos offers you. You know, again, with CAI, my organization, we have a ton of different resources, educational classes, everything that we can offer. Take full advantage of that. It can seem a little time consuming, but in all honesty, with the role that you've chosen to take on for the most part, it's going to make it a whole lot easier to keep up on all the trends, keep up on everything that's going on. That way you're keeping your community on the forefront. Ethics and integrity. Back to it. You're running a business. You need to be maintaining high ethical standards and integrity with that. Another common theme that we keep coming up with, communication. In my mind, it is better to over communicate than under communicate.
Absolutely.
And then commitment.
if you're on the board,
If you're on the board, you are,
dedicate time to
you're
it.
exactly. Yes, it is a volunteer position. I know I've sat on several boards in my lifetime, many of which I wish there was some kind of paycheck behind it, but not going to happen. It isn't. But honestly, at the end of the day, you do, at least I did, there's some gratification because it's a matter of service and you're doing better for others. And again, trying to help the community that you reside in.
And you're protecting ultimately your interests.
Oh, and your
too.
investment, yeah.
I mean, you have an investment in the
Mhm.
community, so the decisions that you make to help better the community is helping you in the long run. If you do
Mhm.
plan on selling, you plan on giving your house to an inheritance to kids or something, you're helping and protecting that. A lot of this seems repetitive now, but engage with the community. Respect, there's even within your board, within your community, you're gonna have different opinions. There's gonna be different mindsets, different goals for different people. It's very important to hear that. Don't just listen to what they're saying, but understand the why and the how and ask questions and respect those different opinions and use those opinions to help make decisions. Boards are composed generally of 5 or more people for that reason, to have different perspectives. So you don't have one person just unilaterally running the association and making decisions. You need different perspectives, different opinions, not only on the board, but from your community as well. So we talked earlier about like members at large on the board going out and kind of polling the community, getting feedback from the association of what's important to them, what they want to see different. But sharing those opinions with the rest of the board and making decisions based on them is crucial. Some tips for having good communication and good transparency is just have clear expectations. At annual meetings, have clear guidelines of if conflict arises, how are you dealing with it? If there's a disagreement on the board, how are you dealing with it? Do you have a board member code of ethics that you're leaning on? Do you have, and I think it's in here, the civility pledge. Do you have different metrics in place on how to deal with things? You want to have everything ahead of time rather than being in a situation saying everything has blown up. What do we do? Again, going back to being proactive, you want to have these things in place ahead of time. To have a plan if that happens, prioritize what you're doing and focus on that. Focus on the end goal of running your association.
You know that toolbox, it's a big packet.
The board member toolkit.
Is that something like that in there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a CAI
Okay.
produced publication. I think it's national, right? That does that. But it's a board member toolkit that if you've never been a board member, it's a great resource that just for sure. Yeah, and there's all kinds of within CAI and even on our website, there's templates for a lot of these things.
Oh, yeah,
where-
they've completely redone their publication library to where the search bar is useful.
It's like Google.
It used to be a little clunky, but one of took it on as a personal project because it had driven her nuts for so long, and she redid it and it's beautiful now. But you need help with developing, or even you just want to look, see what a request for a proposal looks like for a particular project. There's tons of people that have uploaded their examples and they're in Word format, so you can just download them and adjust them to your needs. And it's all free.
And I want to remind you too, to lean on your managers.
Mhm.
Because KS, we have, Lee's talked about the amount of experience that we have, and you could call Chris and say, what are your ideas about this exactly? Because being proactive is the number one thing, and there's going to be conflict. There's no getting around it, but having processes and policies in place to be able to address those, I think is one of the best things that you could do as a board as a whole.
So this is kind of an overview of what we've talked about today, is just establishing clear roles on the board, having policies and communication in place, driving strong, positive communities. You all moved into a community association for a reason. What is that reason? You have a shared idea or a shared perspective with everyone else that lives there of what you want that community to look like. Help build that community stronger as a board member, help drive it in a positive direction, focus on spin everything, like our wonderful marketing manager, everything that she ever says has a positive spin to it. She can tell you you're an idiot, you made a wrong decision, but she's gonna say it with a smile. She's gonna say it in a way that you're like, wow, she just insulted me. That's what you as a board member should embody. Focus on, don't say, hey, we're sending you a violation because you screwed up this. Say, hey, we want to promote harmonious living. Everything looks uniform. We want to use terminology that paints everything in a positive light, because ultimately that's the end goal, is you want to protect values. You want to increase security. You want your community to thrive.
So we went over all of the different aspects of what it's like to be on a board, all of the experience that we have as a management company and how we can help you in those different ways. One of the things that we found is that as you need more resources, as you need better quality services, we have evolved as a management company to provide those things. So when Lee was talking about working with your vendors, we want, you're putting out bids for vendors, and somebody that's in landscaping, we have a landscaping company as well, that we can bring that to the table based off of location, based off of if it's the right fit. So we do have landscaping, we have maintenance, and now we have a mortgage company as well. And that's one of the things that was created from a lot of people calling us and asking questions about, why am I paying these dues? What's an assessment? What's a special assessment? All of these different things that we would like to educate realtors, and we would like to educate people who are living in associations of what that's like ahead of the curve. So I've created some booklets, lots of documentation. As one of them is this Association Simplified, and I'll let you guys leave with one of those today. And if you're online, you can stop in or send us an email and we'll get it to you. But it basically explains what it's like to live in an association, and it has that flowery language that Lee was speaking of. And like everybody has to have the same look and feel, and you have this standard for your community, and this is a privilege. It's not something that is a problem. And there's a lot of like, what's your role as a board member, as a resident, as a management company breaks those things down. So we like to be able to help you, and that's what we're doing here today, is just through our educational seminars. If you have questions about real estate, or somebody's moving, if you have a complex maintenance situation that's going on, where we don't have to call out to other people, that we actually have those things in-house, and we have professionals that we brought in that are excellent at those crafts. So keep us in mind whenever you have those things come up, that you can give us a call, speak to your managers. If they don't know, they're going to find out. If it's not within our business, sister businesses, we'll tap into CAI, which we work directly with. We will tap into our vendors that we have vetted. So, use us as a resource for all of these different things. We're happy to help.
And I strongly encourage all of you to become members of CAI. We'll get this presentation out to everyone, but Lisa's contact info is on here. If you want to, as a board, if you want to join, you can join individually, or as a board as a whole. Tell your manager, let them know. We can help get you signed up for it, to have those resources for you.
We're also doing the KS Perks program. I talked about it last month, and we're starting to get that together. So as board members and residents, you'll be able to go onto our website, and there's certain, and this isn't just association related, it'll be restaurants, it'll be discounts within some insurances, tax, whatever, any of the vendors that we work with, we're pulling those resources together and putting things online for all of our residents to be able to have. Maybe it's buy one, get one free entree at one of our local restaurants. We're supporting local businesses, but we also want to give you some of the discounts for all the businesses that we work with. And then we have our insurance seminar is the one that's coming up next. So I'm excited to have your feedback. If you have any questions, if you want us to create a seminar, we will send a feedback survey after this. I would really appreciate it if you filled it out. Let us know if you have ideas of what we should be doing next. That's how we build everything here, is basically off of your thoughts and opinions. And we'll open the floor if you guys have anything that you want to like go over through here too. Go ahead, Lisa.
I actually wanted to mention one more thing, just because one of the seminars that's coming up in May catch several interest. For those of you that did attend the seminar today, board members, I will go ahead and offer free admission to that May seminar to see what the chapter is about, specifically with, interest of that specific session. You'd be more than welcome. Just reach out to your manager at KS and they will reach out to me, and we'll go ahead and get you registered if you'd like to attend that.
Was that the more extensive training of board role?
No, that's our mini virtual expo, which we have 3 different seminars in.
Okay.
The first one is going to be the financing for capital projects.
Okay, that's the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the first one I mentioned, and I saw a lot of ears perk up, so I would like to invite all of you to attend that if you'd like. So you're welcome.
So any burning questions that you have, anything about board members specifically, online or in person, feel free to unmute yourself and jump in. Kathy, go ahead.
Well, just recruiting.
Yeah.
We have YouTube.
Great question.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
For a while, I was kind of the only one.
I feel that way.
I feel like I'm doing most of the stuff myself.
Yeah,
You're not.
I mean, all of this is wonderful, but if you can't get the people there to sit around that table, it's hard.
So my suggestion for that is that be one of the things that you have a committee focus on.
Mhm.
So get someone that wants to champion that and make it a social event type committee to just start getting people interested in the affairs of the association. And then you have them there for whatever that event is. And it's an opportunity to start building that rapport and just talking to neighbors, getting closer and trying to recruit them into starting on a committee. Maybe they want to be on a landscape committee and give some opinions on the aesthetics of the community, then reel them in, get them on the board that way.
You have more luck getting people to start on committees.
Yeah.
Because it's not as big of a time.
Correct,
commitment.
yeah.
And, is that your situation too, or?
We have very little interest in people doing anything.
What about you?
So do we.
No, just to replace him. They said when I became president, you're on for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, we have committees. I just tell people what you're gonna do.
Our old president did that same thing. He assigned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
And I get no kickback from the deal.
So is that something that you could budget for within a committee? So what I suggest is food. I think that's the bottom line, is like what gets people to show up is to feed them, right? Here. Yeah, worked in Mills earlier too. Don't make me go in there and get those big cupcakes that we had. But yeah, there's different ways of getting people to be together as a collective. If you have common areas, set something up where you do like a little bit of a craft show, or all these different ways for people to get together are going to be more opportunities for you to actually have a conversation of, let's get a little bit more involved, or we need help, or
Well, it's right. Just listening to you guys, like going over like the role of the board members, all of that. And it's like, you are basically, I mean, that's a job.
it is, yeah.
With a lot of responsibility. And that's where I feel people are kind of resisting, is that they have their opinions, they'll serve on a committee, but to sit around the table once a month and make those really big decisions,
Mhm.
that's intimidating. Plus you're talking about, this is my number person, but it's like, how do you get a person that has that financial background? I mean, I don't know how big you guys' condos are, but, You go door to door asking, or do you have them fill out a form, what's your profession?
Well, and so I started with the carrot option of trying and entice people in with events, food, try and just build that rapport. But then there's the stick option of just sending something out saying, hey, we need volunteers. If we don't, this, and this happen, or we're implementing an added assessment of $500, come to this meeting.
We're banning all ads.
Where, yeah, like, just get, initially it's just getting that engagement to start with, and then it'll all flow from there. You just have to build that rapport and build that connection to begin with, whether it's trying to entice people with food or threatening them with a $500 assessment. Just getting that initial engagement and then continuing that relationship, having dialogues about things, asking them opinions about different topics, and then they start to share more and you kind of reel them in that way. Little like generic business cards that Natalie made that have like a QR code for our website. It has the phone number to text Stan. It has our portal website. Just carry those on you all the time and be like, okay, that's nice. Here. Well, Natalie will grab some for you.
Lisa, I'm so happy you're here. Thank
Yes.
you so much. Everything,
My
the wealth of
pleasure.
knowledge. And we will take into consideration your feedback on creating our next seminar.
Yeah, that's the rough one.
Thank you,
Well,
everybody.
thank you, everyone.
As well.
Yes.